Eventually, things with Darius began to change. It started out with his special hugs, as he called it. He would hug me and touch me in inappropriate places, or sit me on his lap and grind me against his pelvis. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't say anything because that was my daddy, so to speak. He even did it in church. I remember one day we were at the church for a rehearsal or something. Everyone had left and we were the only ones. Darius pulled me to the side and said he wanted to give me his special hug. There we were, on top of the floor of the back row in the sanctuary. Darius was on top of me, grinding and kissing me. I think at this point, I was about 9. My name is Javon Frazier, also known as Your Guiding Light. I am the owner and lead STEAM facilitator here at the Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique. I am a womb wellness advocate. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a mom. I'm a woman. I'm awesome. And so are you. What you just heard is a snippet from my first book, The Hidden Jewel. It is a story about my life and my experiences with sexual abuse as a child. And I thought that it was very fitting for me to open with that to kind of help you understand what we're about to talk about today. Yesterday, I posted a video talking about like sex, right? And sexuality, you know, a woman's first introduction to sex, all things sex. And it was a more upbeat video, right? And if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. But it sparked up a conversation on all of my social media platforms and in my inbox. People were sharing their first experience with, you know, the idea of sex or an introduction to sexuality. And almost everyone who commented, their introduction to sex was rooted in trauma. And of course, you know, it was all women because here at the Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique, we are specifically for women. But that's not to negate, you know, the experiences that men go through, because we do know that they too go through it as well. But I decided that it was important today to go a little bit deeper in that. Of course, here at the Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique this week, we're talking all things sexuality, and specifically how it relates to the art of sacred self-love, right? We covered sensuality, we're covering sexuality, we're going to cover pleasure, and we're going to cover play, because I believe that in order to fully show yourself the highest level of love, that you have to embody those 4 areas, right? And they all play together in the most beautiful way. So that's what we're talking about. I do recognize that sexuality is one of those topics that can somewhat be taboo. It's one of those topics that can trigger a lot of emotions. It's a topic that means so much for so many different people, right? And I think that I was blessed in the sense that my experience with sexuality has been so, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's been. So I'm able to really speak to various levels of, you know, sexuality from a personal experience, but also because I work with women from different backgrounds, different age groups, different demographics, I'm able to take what I'm hearing and learning with them and merge it with what I do. Of course, we got a little bit of research, and that's what makes, you know, what we do here at the Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique so special. All right, I want to go ahead and say that if this video gets a little heavy, I don't intend it to get heavy. However, y'all know I lead and just let, or should I say I lead with spirit and let things flow how they need to. So if at any moment this gets too deep, definitely take a pause, be gentle with yourself, journal, create a safe space, walk away if you need to, drink some water, shake off that trauma, and, you know, do what you have to do for you, right? As always, I am always available. We have womb wellness sessions if you need more, you know, one-on-one support. If you need to talk to me one-on-one, you've got some things you need to work on, that is what we do here at the Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique. So just know that I am here. Okay? All right. Now let's get into it. So let's talk about my introduction to sex and sexuality and the idea of like what my sexual organs were here to do. Okay? My first experience with sex was when I was 6 years old. I go in very deep detail in my book, The Hidden Jewel, but in short, the first time that I had any kind of sexual encounter was with a family member, and it was through the hide and go get it game, right? When you used to like, play hide and seek, but then whenever the person found you, y'all would fondle and play and whatnot. It was an older family member, I was younger, and I was just kind of doing what that family member told me to do because I was real close to him, right? Second experience with sex or sexuality was actually, I think it was before 6, but the second one I was like 7 or 8. My family moved to North Carolina. We had a youth pastor. I was very close to that youth pastor. And I would travel with him, perform with him and his family. It wasn't just him, it was like a wife and children. And I was like one of his kids, right? And it started, as I read, with his special hugs. And then it kind of moved into more aggressive touching. And then after that, there was another family member. And that one carried on throughout my childhood until I was 16, where there was this huge blow up. The cops were called. It went to trial. It was a whole thing. Again, you can read all about it in the book, The Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique. The Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique. The Hidden Jewel. The name of my business is The Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique. And I want to say this, right? Because every time I share my story, I get people who are like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Or people who knew me was like, I didn't know. I'm so sorry that I wasn't there for you. Let me say this, okay? I am able to share my story in the way that I share it because I stand on my story, not in my story, okay? I have done years of therapy, of self-reflection, of, finding myself through religion, through spirituality, through relationships, through healing those relationships, through like having children and learning what it was like from a mother standpoint. And so now I'm at a point where I can share my story to help other people. So while I understand that it is almost normal or organic to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I promise you that I am okay, right? And I share my story now to help other people. And if you have gone through anything similar, any type of sexual trauma, I don't care if you are 27 or 67, and that trauma still affects you and has a negative impact on you, I hope that me sharing and standing strong on top of what I have gone through is hope and inspiration to let you know that you too can go through it and stand on top of it as well, right? And I share the analogy of standing in it as opposed to standing on it. When you're standing in something and you're into the thick of it, it can be difficult to see anything other than what you're in, what you're going through, right? Picture it like a dark hole. You're in the hole and all you can see is darkness in the hole, right? You can't see like what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't see who really has your back. You can't see like that there's something greater on the other side, because all you see is what's around you because you're still in it, right? When you do the work, you climb up out, you heal, you self-reflect, you deal with that shadow side, then you're able to come out of it, right? And you're then able to stand on your story, meaning that now I understand what it was for. I've, done the work. I've healed myself. That hole has been patched. I'm now standing on top of it and I have a greater vision, right? I can see what was the purpose. I can see the truth about my life. I can see the truth about the situation, and I can stand strong on top of it, right? Using that as my foundation to become bigger and better and to grow and to elevate and to help someone else if I so choose to. So I want you to understand that even if you're in it now, if you're in the thick of the storm of your story, of the trauma, of the darkness of your womb space, and you can't see nothing but that mess, let me be a beacon of light, your guiding light, to say that on the other side, when you're standing on top of that thing, the view is much different. It's so much different. Okay? My first introduction to sexual anything was through trauma, right? And so as a result of that, and that went on for years, and there was like, you know, people not believing me. I was, you know, living in the home with the person. I had to see the other person all the time at church. Like, so understand that there were years of psychological damage that happened as a result of the sexual trauma that I experienced, right? So my initial thought about anything sexually was that I was only here to please other people. I had no interest in sex. I was a bookworm. I was a nerd. I was like weird. I was quiet. Like, friends who know me now, I can laugh about it now, but they talk about, like, there's actually a podcast with me and my bestie, and she was talking about like the big coat that I would wear and like walking down the hall with my arms folded off fast, because like I was just existing. I didn't want to deal with anything. I didn't want to deal with boys. I didn't want to deal with girls. Even though, let's take a pause here, because that's going to be tomorrow's video. I was already dealing with like confusion with my own sexuality and my identity and what I liked and what I didn't like and what felt good and what didn't feel good and what I was supposed to believe and feel and what I wasn't supposed to believe and feel. So I was in a whole tornado of like the fuck shit is the only way I can describe it. Oh, and if obscene language offends you, I apologize now. Sometimes I can't really get it across. Well, no, I can't get it across. But sometimes things sound better and feel better when you drop a little F-bomb every once in a while. But I am very articulate. So yeah, so that happened for years. And so I didn't, like, I just, like, anything that had to do with like sex, like anything here, it was only their pleasure. Even like years later when I had sex by choice, right? Because I always said that, like, I had my virginity that was taken by force, and then I had my virginity that was, you know, given by choice. When I chose to give my virginity away, and I loved the person, you know, so it was like kind of sort of what I wanted to do, if I'm being honest. I wasn't in it because I felt like I was just there for him. So again, if you watched yesterday's video when I talked about me just being like, that's what it was, because I had no connection to me feeling any type of sexual pleasure or gratification or anything like that. Okay. So then I became a stripper, and there's a video on that on my YouTube channel, how I became a stripper. So we're going to like speed past that, you guys. And it's also in the book, so we can all be on the same page. Javon's story is like complex simplicity. So if y'all need to catch up real quick, you can pause, go to www.hiddenjewelboutique.com, click on shop, click on resources, and my book is there. My books are there. Or just scroll on a YouTube channel and there's videos about like relationships, sexuality, how I became a stripper, all kinds of stuff. All right, so I became a stripper at 19. Right after I had my first son. I had my first son at 19, and I'm jumping. But when I became a stripper, I felt empowered. I felt like, at first it was a little weird, you know, I had to have liquid courage. But once I realized that like I could use my body and my sexuality and my sensuality to like control men and women, to control people, to feel that power that was stolen from me, to feel that like this is what it's supposed to feel like, because that's what I thought, right? Because before it was, I was only there for their pleasure, and then I got a taste of like, wait a second, I am like, it was pleasurable for me to turn them on. Ooh. Then I became like drunk with power, and so I became very promiscuous. I was giving it to anybody and however, whenever, whatever I wanted to, and so which was a different defense mechanism that I didn't realize. And again, second book, Discover Your Inner Sparkle, where I talk about how to heal from sexual trauma, we talk about that as well. How like people who have been sexually abused or who have experienced any level of sexual trauma, they react in one of two ways. They either completely shut down sexually, or they are just open and fluid and free and don't value themselves and their bodies. And it's usually one or the other. I've experienced both. When I became a stripper, wild, free, whatever. That wasn't good either though, because I still wasn't like being true to myself, number one. And number two, my experience and my knowledge of sexuality was still rooted in trauma. It wasn't like I didn't explore what I liked and what I didn't like and who I wanted to be with and who I didn't want to be with. I mean, I did a little bit, but not to its full extent, because I was still broken and I was still like in it, and I was still acting out of that trauma experience of this is how it's supposed to be. And then let me also say that I never was allowed to take sex ed because, you know, religion, we weren't supposed to, all this other kind of stuff. So like, other than like my friends and my trauma, I kind of was out here just like winging it and trying to figure out what this was supposed to be. It wasn't until after I got tired of all of this, right? And I started going to therapy, and I started like really healing and really looking at what is the root, right? Because we always look at the symptoms of things. We look at, oh, she's fast. Oh, she's promiscuous. Oh, she's a thought. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. But we don't look at like the core, you know. And this might trigger and upset some people, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I feel like everything has a root. Everything. Back to the meme that I shared yesterday where, you know, people were talking about like sexual energy being creative energy and healing energy. One of the comments that stood out to me was about, you know, not having any type of sexual thought, experience. Like, when you think sex, you think crickets. I would encourage people to explore that, right? When you think about your connection to sexuality, whether it's good, bad, free, you know, whatever it is, I would encourage you to explore like, what is the root? Like, where does it come from? Whose idea is this? Whose ideal is this? You know, who said that like I have to get married and have children? Who says that like, what if I don't want to have children? What if I don't want to have, you know, any type of sexual pleasure at all? Whose idea is that? Where did that come from? Right? That's all I'm saying. What I want to say too, to not make this video super long, no matter what your experience is, no matter what your introduction to sexuality may have been, you have the power to shift the narrative. You have the power to shift the narrative, okay? I am going to talk more about this in the following video, but there were aspects of me that did not fully unlock until I was so honest with myself about my sexuality and my sexual preference and my ideals about sex. It wasn't until I got super crystal clear about what Javon wanted that Javon was able to show up completely. Well, what do you mean, Javon? We talked about yesterday that your womb space, your sexual energy is housed in your womb space, right? That is also where your creative energy is. That is also where your life force is. That is where, like, you as a woman, all of that resides. And so if there's any aspect of yourself that you are not awakened to, that you are not open and honest and free with, that it will cause you to have bondage, and it will cause you to be stifled in other areas. Yes, I've been helping people for years. Yes, I've been, sharing my story for years, but there were aspects about my story, about who I am, about how I view life, that I wasn't being honest with. And so therefore, there was only a certain level at which I've been able to help folks. Now that I'm real about me, I'm free about me, I'm open about me, I'm clear about me, I'm clear that, like, me, being a sexual being is not me oozing sex. I'm clear that, like, I'm not I'm not gonna burn and rot in hell for being in love with a woman. I'm clear that it is okay for me to understand where another person is coming from based on, like, their experiences as a child and how that has shaped them. Because I'm so clear on all things Javon, I'm able to help women from every walk of life, and there is no judgment. They're able to feel a sense of freedom within themselves because I am operating from a level of freedom. And so I'm sharing that with you to say that no matter what the original story was, because you are the ultimate creator of your life, because you have your womb space, your energetic hub where you can create and manifest and bring life, because you are a magical motherfucking being, a goddess, right? You have the power to shift that, to reshape it, and to create something beautiful that works for you. That is your power. That is your right as a woman. You deserve to feel sexually free. You deserve to have amazing fucking orgasms. You deserve to put on whatever you want to wear, regardless of whether you got tiggo bitties, regardless of whether you got thunder thighs, regardless of whether you are slim as a board. You deserve to wear whatever you want to wear and feel comfortable and not feel like your choice is going to affect someone else because they can't handle themselves. And so therefore, you're now responsible for that individual. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Wear what you want to wear. Walk how you want to walk. Talk how you want to talk. Love who you want to love. Get it how you want to get it. Because that's your right as a woman. There was a time when I couldn't talk about sex. There was a time when I had to hide, or I felt like I had to hide my, attraction to women who are absolutely beautiful. There was a time when I felt like I had to hide that, like, I only really feel powerful when I start my morning with a good meditation and masturbation. Now I'm screaming it from the rooftops because I am free. I'm happy. And you deserve that as well. And so, again, I'm not going to say, comment below because I know that this is a real sensitive topic. But if you feel like you want to share, you can comment below. Of course, I check the comments. Of course, I, come in and we have a dialogue and a conversation. But more importantly, if you have watched this video and you're like, you know what, this is hitting home, this is triggering something, even if you don't quite understand what that something is, but you feel something within yourself, I encourage you to look into that. I encourage you to explore that. I encourage you to look into it. If you, again, need one-on-one support, if you want to work through it, have some guidance, we do offer womb wellness sessions here at the Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique. That is what I do. All of our sessions are custom tailored to you specifically. We have an outline of things that we follow. We start off by unpacking all of your stuff, and then we sort it out. We get rid of what needs to get rid of. We clean it up. We organize it. We, get a plan, and then we move through it together. I want to thank you guys for taking the time and chatting with me, allowing me to share a piece of myself, and for opening up your heart and your spirit. Thank you for connecting with me from my womb space to yours. As I always say, remember to discover your inner sparkle and let it shine, because the world is waiting on you to just be you. I love you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching. For more information on the Hidden Jewel Wellness Boutique, yoni steaming, womb wellness, or how to connect with your womb space, visit www.hiddenjewelboutique.com. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that you'll never miss another video.